Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Plan in Traffic. And we do this every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So please share, like, and subscribe and all the good stuff. And this is where we talk anything to do with automobiles, anything you put gas in, we talk about it. What's up, Ray?
Lewis, Happy New Year. Good to be here.
Beautiful time to make it for another year.
Good to be here for another year. Look, it's good to be here for another day. I say that when I wake up in the morning. I mean, literally years ago, I started doing that. I'd wake up and you look out and you say, it's raining. I got to go to work. But I'd be like, Lord, thank you. Thank you for letting me be here to go to work on a rainy day because,
Yep.
The alternative is the alternative. So it's
A lot of people didn't wake up today.
you got to make the best out of every day because they're all important. So
Yeah, for sure.
so
I barely made it to the ball drop because I'm old and I sit on the couch with the wife and we nod off.
my wife and I, we watch TV in separate rooms because we don't watch the same stuff usually. I mean, we get together for certain things, but mostly, she's got her thing, I got mine.
Yeah.
So she came in and woke me up, and she's like, "Come on, the ball's gonna drop." So I grabbed the remote. I'm switching the channel, and it's not working. No, I grabbed I grabbed the remote for the wrong remote. Is what it was. Like the damn thing ain't working. What's going on? Okay, start the new year off with a falter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So everything went good. I mean, we hung out with some family the day before, so good weekend.
Yeah, good.
Good long weekend. Um, like I was saying last week, this year will be our 10th year online here. So I'm really appreciative of all the people that's been here with us and came to visit us.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody can come back and visit us this year and celebrate the whole year for 10 years.
And my life seems to follow trends because out of the 10 that you've been doing it, I've been here for 8. And then I just realized Motormouth Radio, the show that I do on Sunday, it's 24 years old as of yesterday, and I've been doing that for 22. So again, 2 years less. So I guess that's my thing. I'm like, I committed the 2 year mark.
Sweet.
So, yeah. So we're talking about time flying and where's it go and all the good stuff. A lot of good happens.
And on my end here, you don't it's a good thing if you don't get sick of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't ever say, "Oh man, I got to do the show," and it's always like, "Oh man, it's here already. Let's go."
I'll tell you this: when I started doing Motormouth Radio, there were 3 of us, and the guys told me, I said, "Man, I love doing this. I've been wanting to do this," and they both looked at me and said, dead serious. They said, "Here's the rule: like, you're welcome to stay. You're with us. When you're not having fun, if it seems like work and you say, 'Oh shit, I got to go do that again,'
Mm-hmm.
that's when you should stop. For your sake and for our sake, because it's not going to be a good thing after that."
Yeah.
And that's always been in. We all say it in our heads. Hey, you know what? Well, I'm not having fun anymore. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's work. Sometimes it's work being here on Thursday night. Because you got to remember now, I got to be awake. So I get a nap in the afternoon on Thursdays. I couch it. And then, but it's not work like, oh, damn, I got to go do that again. It's not that kind of work. It's just you got to make a slight effort to be somewhere. So
Yep.
if you're not having fun, that's the line. When you draw a line of sand, say, okay, listen, go do something else, or just step away for a while and come back, whatever.
Yeah. So, and another thing for being here is all the friends I've made.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I mean, not only just friends. You got friends that you talk to here and there, but really friends that you can count on and trust and really have a friendship with. You know what I mean?
You and me both. I mean, you more so because you see these people out at the events. You go to the big events and all. Well, look, Macro Man Brian. I mean, I brought him in. I bring him in as a co-host now on my other show because that's how close we've gotten. I can work with him. I could work with you too. I could have easily done it with you as well. And it's those friendships that you build because it's the right thing to do, not because you had to do it or it was the right social thing to do. It's like I always said, I say this all the time, I tell it to my family too. I said, you pick your friends, you don't pick your family.
Yeah.
And when you pick your friends, I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out right. We've all had those instances, but for the most part, you pick friends who are the right kind of people for you. And I think we all do that.
Yep,
So,
sure.
yeah, the friendship's unbelievable.
Yeah, because I feel, because I'm going to be traveling next year, I feel I can almost go anywhere in the United States and not be too far from one of my friends.
That's probably correct. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every state, I kind of say, oh, I can swing this way and see this person, or I can go this way, make my route to meet up with people,
I don't have as big of a latitude, but a couple of years ago when we started doing some traveling down to Tennessee and then North Carolina, the first North Carolina trip, I hooked up with 4 people that I met through doing either this show or Motor Mouth Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them I had met once previously because he was from up here and we had him in the studio. But 4 people I got to meet, and I said, boy, that's, now you're putting faces with the, with the names, and you really, you're pressing the flesh and sitting across from somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great feeling. It really is. It really is.
What I've noticed is everybody's short.
Well, to you, yeah. I'll tell you, you just wait, because in the coming months, we're going to be making that Indiana trip again, me and my buddy Chris. Yeah. And when you meet Chris, I'm going to just stand back and watch. I'm going to watch you doing this.
Looking up.
Because the dude is 6'9". Yeah. Like I said, I give him a hug and I'm hugging his stomach. He's big.
Yeah. It's very odd that I got to look up, but when I see somebody taller than me, I'm like, huh, that guy's pretty tall.
Yeah.
It's a rare thing. Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like I got a couple of friends that play NBA, and I'd see him somewhere, and I'm like, wow, that's a big dude. And then it'll click to me. Wait a minute, I know that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on that you don't realize. It's like when you watch TV, you see people on TV, and that if you happen to see that person in person, you're like, wow, you look. I know it's you, but boy, you look different.
Yeah.
Well,
I met Coolio a couple years back. It's probably been 10 years, maybe longer. But I met Coolio, and he was a little guy. I
was gonna say, yeah, I got the impression he was not as tall as he looks all the time.
Like on the videos, the music videos, he looked, like average size, but he was little. He just passed away, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really little guy.
It's the way they film it. I mean, some people are conscious about it. They want to be on a platform, and then out of that, you have that out of camera sight. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different strategies.
Yeah.
It still comes down to, for me, it ain't about the the height or the size. It's really what's inside,
right?
And you know it. I mean, all of our friends, it's a rogues gallery of shapes, sizes, and weights and colors and everything. But there's a very common thread inside all of it. And that's what we're talking about, that common thread that keeps people together.
Sorry if I keep looking down. My cat's trying to eat me. Right here.
Interesting.
Let's get the fellas on and see what they're talking about for New Year. See here, Papa Squirrel.
Yes, Papa Squirrel, looking dapper as always, and Matt and Jim.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
How was your New Year's?
I was very peaceful.
All right.
Brianna she went to her boyfriend's, and they said they weren't going out. Molly lives with her boyfriend, so they have to worry about her. Emma went to her room because she's home from school and all her friends are there. So she went. Like Ray, Mama went to watch what she wanted to watch. I went to watch what I wanted to watch. And I was in bed by 9 o'clock. I didn't have to worry about anybody being out traveling.
Wow.
Or waiting for them to come home. Unfortunately, I'm the old mother hen. I wait for everybody to come home. And I guess it was a little bit after midnight. A few of my neighbors were shooting and blowing stuff up in the neighborhood, and it got Lucy. That's my black lab pit mix. She was a little upset, so she came and woke me up, and I had to comfort her for about a half hour to get her settled down and get back to bed. So
Yeah, we had that here too. Hey, you know what I got to do? New Year's Eve. My wife and I have this. We learned this years ago. Like, if you ever want to go out to eat on a night and be able to get in and out, like, go on Super Bowl Sunday, because everybody's at Super Bowl parties.
Yeah.
So we do that, and we went out Christmas Eve with my daughter, and we went out just the two of us on New Year's Eve. And what I did is I went to one of the sponsors of the radio show. In the station we were talking about, there's this place called the Irish Poet. It's a pub, and we like those places, like those bar, pub, grill kind of places, especially if it's like a little bit of an older crowd, so it's a little quieter. So we did that, and had a good time, had a good meal. I wanted to meet the guy whose spot I play all the time because he has this really thick accent, but he just happened not to be there. So that was kind of fun. That was a dopey little thing that we did.
That's cool.
Go visit the sponsors. So.
The wife and I got to stay home, and that's what we like now. You can tell you're old when you don't want to go out and party or do anything.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Jim?
Actually, we have a New Year's Eve tradition we do every year. A really good friend of mine, my buddy Tony, his birthday is New Year's Eve. And many years ago, he owned a Shell station.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Ray, you probably know where it is. Glen Cove Road and what's the other road? Darn it.
Jericho Turnpike?
Yep.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
Now it's a Starbucks.
Right across. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the Shell. He used to own that Shell station.
Okay.
One thing, you had to be open 24 hours.
Really?
And the one day he could never get anyone to cover was New Year's Eve.
Right.
So he had to work New Year's Eve, which was his birthday.
Yeah.
And of course, his girlfriend, now his wife, would hang out with him until midnight.
Right.
I found out about it. I was like, wait a minute, I can't leave you guys alone. So my wife and I would go hang out at the gas station with my buddy and his girlfriend.
Okay.
And we celebrated New Year's Eve.
Great.
So the station's long gone, but we still get together on New Year's Eve every year. So
that's cool.
Good.
Awesome.
Good. Yeah, keep a tradition going. Yeah. That's how we started doing a Mother's Day show, a best of show. So you can never get a guest. Nobody was ever calling in. So it happened before me. Chris said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to make like kind of a compilation of calls from the year, and we'll call it a Mother's Day, look back." So, and we still do it. So
that's cool.
Some of those traditions, it's good to keep them going. Definitely.
Yeah, we're really good friends with them. We consider them our best friends.
Okay.
And I've known him from when he was a dopey kid cleaning up the body shop to now he works at Con Ed and he's got a Super Comp dragster that he goes racing with.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice.
Sweet.
Good.
So this year, anybody have any special dreams or what do you call it?
Aspirations?
Yeah, New Year's resolutions.
Brian,
Well,
you got to go, man. You got to do it.
like I said on the show with Ray, and I really do appreciate Ray. I love it. Like I said, I enjoy every bit of it. Actually, it was kind of funny, not to get side noted from it, but I don't know. I was this time for the first time. I was actually more nervous than I had ever been before.
Really?
Yeah,
sure?
I don't know why.
Now, I'll tell you how weird it is. So when I got home, first thing my wife said was, "Hey, how'd it go? How'd everything go?" I said, "You know what? Brian finally found his groove. He was totally relaxed. He was calm. He was collected." I said that he finally found that rut that you find. And now I find out like I was totally wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if it was because the funniest part, well, I'll tell you that later, but I just don't know if it was I was nervous because I was just so relaxed.
Oh,
like
okay.
I was going to make a mistake, like something was going to happen, And like I said, I enjoy every bit of it. Ray, anytime, man, I'm ready, nonstop.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being a co-host. Because when Chris and I were in the studio, I was a totally different person. I was very calm, very collected. I was in charge of everything I was doing. I could do 5 things at once, and I watched him jump around and only hear every third word I said. And then when I took it over and had to run it, now I'm that way, and I'm not as in charge as I was because I'm doing 5 things at a time, or I'm concentrating, double checking and triple checking things.
Mm-hmm.
Chris had told me this a long time ago. He says, he goes, my whole radio career, I don't know why. He goes, I've been doing it for a long, long time. He goes, but every time you're standing there and you're going to go live, you're playing your spots, you're watching your clock, you'll see me checking things. It's like you always get that little bit of a butterfly right before you go live.
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe because he put it in my head, it happens to me. I said, I think the only reason it happens to me is because if I push that button and nothing happens, like if I know when I push the button and have the mic potted up for whoever's the co-host, when I don't hear a voice, it's like, oh shit. Now you got it on the fly on a live show. You have to diagnose it. And we've had to do that many times.
And the funny part was before I came down, I went up and I told everybody, I said, look, I'm getting ready to go on. I told the dogs to calm down. I said, I don't want any effing noise. I said, I'm closing the door. Do not open the door. I don't care if you need a soda or you want to get a piece of apple pie or what. You ain't coming down for an hour.
Oh, man.
Just stay. I don't want to have any, thing. So then, of course, Brianna goes, well, don't do that what you did last time. And I said, what? Drop the F-bomb.
Yeah.
Because one of the times I called in, I dropped the F-bomb.
Right.
And then I'm sitting there, and of course, the guy that called in, and he said shit. And I was like, I'm done now. I mean, it's on Easy Street because I don't get blamed for the first,
I cut that out of the mix. I cut that out in post-production.
But that was funny. But what I said during the show was, we all got up on New Year's Day. We all looked out the window, and you see a project in the backyard. You see one in the garage. You see one on the front on your driveway. Man, just start something and finish it. That's my biggest thing. Right. I'm just hoping that I can. I know that part of my problem, and maybe you too, Ray, working on cars for a living, we're so used to doing so many different things. You take this car apart, you're waiting for parts for it. So you start working on this. Parts come in, you put this one together. And I do the same thing with projects around the house. And next thing you know, you got about 19 things all torn apart. So just start something and finish.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the biggest lies, 2 biggest lies in the world are, don't you?
Well, I got to be careful because my wife might listen to this. But yeah, go on.
Honey, I promise not to start another project till I finish one.
Right.
And then you look at one and say, oh, this would make a great project. So you just keep queuing it up the line,
Yeah. I mean, I eventually get done. I mean, the funniest thing was, and it became a joke, and I guess I took it a little too far, but in our master bathroom, when I gutted it out and we redid it, or we, changed everything over, and I was running the electrical, and I was like 1.5 feet short when I got all done getting to the fuse box, and I said, I'll do it later. Well, it sat forever with no electricity. It had a regular light, but all the plugs didn't work, Yeah. And of course, the wife's a very good sport. And of course, we had the extension cord coming from the bedroom in, and then of course she just plugged in everything. And so one day, and this is where I learned because she did this, she said, either you fix this or I'm going to call an electrician in here and get this thing done.
Oh, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I said, okay. And of course, the funny part was I hooked up hooked it all up, and then I didn't have any power, and I couldn't figure out why. And of course, I'm going through looking, and one of the GFI plugs was bad from the get-go.
Yep.
And it sat for 10 years. I mean, that's like how long we're talking, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap. Now all I have is this electrician coming out, you know, and I'm like tearing stuff apart and went and tested and find that it had a bad GFI. So I put a new one in. We had power.
Right.
And everybody was, you know, happy that we had power up there. But what I didn't tell them was I put in a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
So every once in a while I would turn the light switch off and they'd say we have no power in the bath. It's still that way. I told them I have ultimate control of the power in the bathroom, you know, I turn the light switch. So
That's funny. I had the same problem with a plug in the bus.
Yeah.
Yep. I had power all the way to there, and then the rest of the way no power. I'm like, what is going on? As that's thinking.
Yeah, I think you wired it up wrong or something. And man, it was actually the GFI, the one that was bad was the one in the girls' bathroom because they back to back, you know, they're up against each other.
Yeah.
And that's where I had taken the power off of. And
actually, if you pulled it off their GFI, you didn't have to put a GFI in your side. Theirs would protect your end.
Yeah, well, that's later on. I mean, at first I had put another GFI in on our end, and when I talked to a buddy of mine's electrician, he goes, "Well, you're already hooked into that one GFI, so you don't need to." So,
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And now they even make GFI circuit breakers, so it's in the breaker.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So you use a little GFI decal and you put it on the outlet saying GFI protected, even though they don't have the buttons.
Yeah.
To let someone know that it is protected upstream.
Yeah.
So I have one of those plugs on each side of my sink in the kitchen.
Right.
So I only needed one.
That's right. Well, yeah, just one.
If it's hooked into the one,
as long as the second one is fed from the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, each one doesn't have to be a GFI.
No,
I didn't. I thought if it was close to the sink, it had to be one.
No, well, it is if it's tagged off the one before it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and the way you know is plug something into the second one and then trip the first one, and the second one will go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was. So we joke about, of course, back in the day, we had of course, we took that window out and put a bigger window, but it had one of those little small bathroom window, you know, the little window, and we always joked about it was the viewing room because you couldn't do nothing else except look out the window because there was nothing in there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody has ever been up in the Washington Monument, that's about the size of the window that used to be in there, you know, little slot there, but we call it the viewing room. And
then you made the exhibitionist room and put in a big window.
Yeah, now it's got a big window. Now you get it's what is it, like 54 HD view now? You know what I'm saying?
That's why you had all those cars circling really slow by the house, and you didn't know why. Like, what are they checking out the tool truck? No, they're not. They're looking in the bathroom window because the lights always on.
Yeah, before it was just my little head looking through. Now I get the whole picture of me. That's even better, you know.
Right.
Wait till somebody goes past with a sign that says "Put your clothes back on."
Close the shade. But you're right, Brian. You know, Isaac had replied on Sunday that he that was kind of like the little bit of a boost that he needed, you know, to get stuff done. I said, yeah, sometimes we all need a little bit of a push. Just a little help in the right direction to get things going, get things moving, and you know. Well, I'll tell you that Mustang that I told you about, that 66 that I'm going to be working on. You're gonna be in the loop heavy on that one because you can believe I'm going to be calling you about this thing. I was talking to a buddy about it today who's got a Mustang.
Yeah.
And I really think this car's already had the
shock towers out,
taken out. It's probably had a rack put in it already.
Oh wow.
So I don't, and he's looking at wheel fitment. So
yeah, it's a really I mean, there's a lot and the like I said, the biggest problem is you know, to get the size of a tire that you want, then you're getting into, you know, 17, 18 inch rims. and that really just throws, it just throws the whole dynamics of the car off.
I don't know if he'll be adverse to that. I mean, he may not. He's already in Restomod territory, so
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's just what you like. I mean, like I was saying, on the older car, you want a little sidewall, and when you have a thin sidewall, you have that European look in your head. You know what I'm saying? That's why.
And like I said with my own car, I didn't want to do that either. But I'll tell you one thing: when you're behind the wheel and you're driving and you're feeling those wide tires and you're taking turns that you shouldn't have been taking,
Yeah.
you get a whole nother
Yeah.
thought process about how cool that really is. About what a 60-year-old car can do that it could have never done in any of the other iterations. Only with today's stuff can it do this. That's NASCAR built back in the day.
That's the funny part. It's like the one time with my Mustang, and I put bigger tires on, but then I had to put the helper things in for the sprint because I had to raise the car up a little because the wheel stuck past.
Right.
You couldn't get that tucked in feeling unless I remember I wouldn't let them do it to the rear quarters, but we did it to the front. We put the old baseball bat and rolled it out, and it was okay. Actually, that's one of the things that I want to do is I want to flare them. I mean, if you can get it tastefully done, that's the only other problem. Some of those cars, you don't have enough. The flare gets too big where you don't have enough sheet metal. The next thing you know, you're up on the top line of the fender.
You need to weld on for it. I happen to think that those early Mustangs look particularly much better with a slight flare on it. It really accentuates that body. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. I've looked at a couple different companies, and I've seen there's one guy that comes up to the Cars and Coffee thing, and it really kind of pisses me off because he's kind of a dickhead. He doesn't. I mean, you try to ask him a question, and it's like, "Oh, what do you?" Of course, I always get. I will admit, I get pissed off when they say, "Well, what do you know?" You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, dude, you don't even know.
I get it out a little different. I'll ask a guy about like something specific under the hood. It's like, hey, how did you do that? Or where did you find that part or bracket? And they'd be like, when I get that answer, like, oh, I don't know, that's how I got it.
Yeah.
Or that's how it was the last guy did. I'm like, okay. So that's the first strike.
Yeah.
It's like, because a guy who bought a car, and really not by his own fault, doesn't know everything about it because he didn't build it.
Right. No.
And most people, a lot of people don't. I mean, you can replace it.
I mean, like you said, there's people like that, and that's okay as long as they're not walking around acting cocky like they did something about it,
Right.
But then you have the guy that I actually had a guy. He's got a handful of them. A handful of different cars, but he's got one that has it's a Hillborn, but it's fuel injected. It's not a old school Hillborn, It's and it's got injected. And I was looking at it, and of course he came up with an attitude about it, and I just basically told him that, well, if you really had hair on your balls, you know how to set up a real Hillborn instead of putting injectors in it.
Wow.
And he looked at me and he started in, and I said, "You're barking up the wrong tree, asshole." So
he'll back down right away when you come at him like that. For sure.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
I said, you could be all tough you want with those injectors in there, but if you want to.
Well, and the other way to go then is start talking about injectors to him.
Yeah.
Start talking injector theory and talk about duty cycle and pulse width, and you're going to lose him again. I mean, he's most likely.
But like I said, but there's a guy up there, and he's got one, and he's got one that's flared, and I've looked at it, man, and usually, I mean, it's done a really good job because usually behind the flare is a real hack job, you know?
Yeah.
And this car sits so low. I mean, getting up on it, I'm really surprised. I guess maybe he was, I don't know, maybe I intimidated him because I looked too much on his car. I was taking pictures and he didn't like that either.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
You shouldn't have brought it out.
Yeah, well, but I like to know who did it, or not who did it, or if it was a kit, because like I said, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've had that happen. Like last year, at the end of the season at the cruise nights, guys taking pictures, under my hood and everything, and they're leaning in and I want to go over and ask them, like, hey, dude, what do you, what do you find it interesting? Because maybe I can, clarify something for you. Because I had one guy ask me, it's like, man, those are the craziest looking carburetors. Those are the new Holley carburetors. I'm like, they're Holleys, man, but they're not carburetors. I said, okay, let's start from the beginning here. We'll start from scratch. But, and not in a bad way. Like, let me tell you what you're not seeing, So I'm attracted to people who are doing that because I want to find out, like, what are they thinking, Sometimes it's so way off base, it's funny. And other times, maybe the guy's like doing what I do, looking to get an idea for his own car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but all I know is just want to start. I mean, I've started so much stuff, but just finish.
Yeah.
And hopefully and get stuff cleaned up. Well, I tell you, I've gone through so much stuff. It's amazing, and you still have so much stuff. It's just mind-boggling.
Something interesting. My buddy Bill just told me here that he's not sure if they line up without being modified, but the 96 Grand Sport Corvette flares, he thought they worked on a Fox body.
Oh, yeah?
Which is interesting. But of course, your car isn't a Fox body, but
no.
But that's interesting. That'd be nice. It's always nice when you can buy something off the shelf that was used on another car.
Yeah.
Because you're not starting from scratch.
Right.
Back in the day, MP and Ike, those companies used to make flares for all the import cars, the Datsuns and the Toyotas. Very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They, like I said, I've watched and I've played around. I really, of course, the front fenders are easy because they're cheap enough, and you can hack and cut those all up you want. When you get into the rear quarter panel, that's where I get scared. Of course, that's a lot of part of the car that.
Well, yeah, but you're going to have that done by somebody else.
Yeah, I know. Well, you hope. I tell you, man, the last couple of, you've seen some horror. You've seen some stuff, where somebody else did or whatever. But in the last in the last couple of months, a lot of my shops have gotten these project cars, and some of the stuff that has been done to them is just absolutely unbelievable, and I can't believe somebody charged somebody to do what they did,
and that somebody paid them to do it,
and somebody paid, and then wonders why. And then of course, I always get that. That's my second end of that. I get that person that said, well, I heard that you could fix this, but I've spent so much money everywhere else. What kind of deal are you going to give me? And I'm like, it doesn't work that way, dude. I'm going to fix it. You're going to pay me.
Oh, yeah.
But I hate that because they said, well, I gave this guy, $2,000. I gave this guy $1,500. I've hung all these parts on this car, and I still have a problem. And now what can you do to fix it and not charge me,
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part.
Take it to Ring Brothers.
Yeah. Well, that's like that guy I was telling you about that, put the bigger carburetor on and had the bog. And of course, the guy now said he had to put a bigger rear in the car.
Yeah, right.
And, and I'm like, dude, jet this carburetor down a little bit and you'll be fine. And
Calm.
now he's complaining about his gas mileage because he put 389s in it.
Yeah, well, sure.
And he goes, it jumps. He goes, man, it jumps, but man, the gas is killing me. And I'm like, dude, all you gotta do is jet it.
That's the thing. I try to explain to people about carburetor sizes and why smaller is better. You know, talking about the Bernoulli effect and the Venturi effect and Venturi speed, and you know how that gives you that quick, crisp, you know, jump. You know, it gives you that crispness off of an idle that you don't get with a big fuel dumper. You know, you need the RPM now to get that velocity going, and people just can't get past the fact that no, but I got a big block, so I got to have a bigger carburetor. Well, no, that's the thing. If you would experiment and put this other carburetor on, and just see if your friend has one you could borrow. You'll see and seeing is believing. Driving it now that really solidifies it for most people. But they get hung up on the numbers. I mean, I remember growing up, like if you didn't have a 780, your car wasn't fast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it meant you didn't have like something over 400.
You talk about the bigger size. That's like noise. Right. That car made a lot of noise. That car was fast.
Louder is faster, right?
Right. So it was funny when you have one of the impacts that when those impacts came out, the 1/2-inch impacts, it wasn't as loud as the other gun. Yeah. And I used to get guys, they would take it and they would hold it in their hand and zip it around and say, "Oh, it has no power." What do you mean it has no power? Well, it's not loud.
Oh boy!
I said, I'll go get you one with more power. And I'd go out to the truck, and I'd take the trigger valve out, and I would pull the muffler out of it, the packing out of the muffler, put it all back together, take it in, and now it's loud. Oh man, this thing's got all kinds of power. Right, you stupid ass.
Beware of people who are experts.
Right.
In their own mind.
Here, the very first lesson I ever got from Joe D was carburetor size.
Okay.
When I was moving my small block for my 69 Camaro, he said, no, don't go with the double pumper. Don't go anything like that. Here, this carburetor, 600 CFM, vacuum secondaries, put that on the car. He's right.
Now, there's the guy who designed his car doing it the right way, that Camaro he had, because we talked about it at length many times. And he made sure, it was a small block, but he made sure that the carburation was right, and he looked at the cam profile, and then he looked at his transmission, and he set up the converter by the motor and by the rear end gear, and of course with the cam profile in mind, everything worked as in symmetry as a package, and the car performed very well. Instead of most guys just throwing random parts out. I just talked to Joe today, by the way. We were just had him on the phone today, so. And he does. I was just explaining to my wife. I mean, I talked to him 2 days ago. We had a conversation. He was going to come down to the shop and do some diagnosis on Mike's truck with me. We were going to look at those wheel speed sensors in graphing mode, because Joe has a couple of tricks that he's learned over the years to kind of set them off and make them give you bad data, so you could, point the finger at it.
You have a fluke meter?
Yes.
Because it has an analog graphic you can hook up, and you get the little ripples across the bottom.
That's right. We'll do it with that, or we were going to do it with the. I think. Well, he wanted to use the Tech 2. He was going to bring out the Tech 2, which again is a very.
It's GM base.
It's a very coarse. I used the Tech 2 when I worked on the Grand National. It's like looking at an old Atari video game. It's so crude, but it's made for that car. But no, they was going to use one of the other scanners. We're going to do it in graphing mode. And look at the waveform. So it ends up that we don't have to do that now, because I had the guy at the shop do some work to the truck. So I told Joe, look, we got called off for now, but he wants to get back and do some diagnostics. And I said, I'll get you in there. We'll find something to get him in on. He is sounding better, and he had a stroke, for everybody who doesn't know, but he's continually improved. And
that's good. That's awesome.
It takes years. It does. But I see now that the conversation I had, just the conversation being on topic and him not drifting, it was a little tighter. It was just tighter, which is good. So
Please tell Joe I said hi. I haven't spoken to him in a while.
So there is hope. He listened to the show on Sunday, and he said, "Brian, I think you said something," because that's what I saw. He sent me an email later on, and he was like yelling at the screen about something like that you said. So you should have called.
What, did I say something wrong?
No, not
I mean,
wrong. I think it was
oh.
just it was like a diagnostic thing. I think he was looking to go. I mean, all diagnosticians do the same thing, but they can do it differently.
Yeah.
And he has, I've always said about him, he was a trainer and he was a tech line guy. He was a tech line guy who trained other tech line guys. But Joe is a guy who can take an analog problem or basically more so, he'll take a digital problem and explain it to you in an analog way. Meaning he can talk, not talk down, but he can talk to guys who don't know, are not up to speed and don't know what they have to do. And he can explain that complex digital problem to them in a language that they get. Yeah. Which is amazing. I mean, if anybody who teaches, when you reach a student because you've used a language that they understand and you see it. You see it in their eyes and you see them because now they're looking at you. They're not doing something else. Yeah. And, now they want to hear what you have to say. So as a trainer, he was stellar in that regard. Plus, he would talk to other guys at his stature, and this is what Chris would always say. Oh, now he's just talking in clicks. All I hear is clicks and pops. Yeah. Now it's like, or he said that like when I would talk to someone about cam specs or we talk about Harley Davidson models and everything's letters and numbers. He's like, all I'm hearing is clicks and pops. It's just it's useless data. I don't understand any of it.
That's my wife says that with me because she says you'll explain something and you can have 3 or 4 different people and you'll explain it 3 different ways and everybody understands it. You get everybody on the same page, Right. And that's, some people are hard. That's what drives me crazy, that's why, like you said, if you're an apple and orange guy or a banana and strawberry guy, if you know how the person is, the gears are turning in their heads, then you can explain it. Right. And that's the hardest part sometimes. But when you go back about setting up stuff, this is back when we had, what were those things? Floppy disk or, those square things that you slid in a computer or whatever. I had one from
this style.
Yep.
5 1/4 because I got those too.
I had it was from what's that cam show? No. Lenati camshafts. And that's how I set my Mustang up because they had this whole thing where you programmed, you put in the cam specs, tire size, and it just came out and told you everything that buy, set up and buy or do,
It was like desktop dyno.
Yeah, and it was like I wish, I'm sure that it's on the system now. It's just that when I put that out and put it in the old get the old system fired up, like you said, it's like playing an old Atari game. It's kind of funny. Or Pong. I shouldn't even say Atari. That's too advanced. How about Pong? You know what I'm saying? Pong and Tank.
Right. Yeah, the graphics have come a long way in a short time. Just through the video game. I mean, I don't consider myself a gamer, but as my kids were growing up, I bought game systems. I'd always get a game or two that I like, usually a James Bond game or a shooting game or something. And I saw how that video increased. I was like, wow, this is getting really good. Yeah. Scary good.
This is why people have no concept of reality now.
True. Yeah. So, we used to play a game. I used to play with my older daughter. It's called Crazy Taxi. And what you did was you were a taxi cab driver and you'd pick your city. So they always had good cities like San Francisco. Turn that off too. And you had to drive around and you had to pick up fares and you'd get points for like hitting certain things or I can't open it. You get points for certain things, so you'd have to drive up on sidewalks or like up a grass berm, and you could like leap into jump over the berm and then hit a balloon or something. And but I tell you something, you play that thing for 4 or 5 hours at night, and next day you go to work, you're thinking you're doing crazy taxi, man. You're thinking, I'll just go around this guy. I'm going to go up on that lawn. I tell you. So some of the accidents that you see, I swear, I've sworn it for years, are influenced by video game, mentality.
You think you can? Well, that's like what's his name did that at the NASCAR race last year.
Yeah.
What was that watermelon guy?
Yeah. They call it the Hail Melon.
Yeah, he because it was at Richmond. I think it was Richmond. Was one of the last race. Martinsville.
It was the last race before the playoffs, before the Final Four.
Right.
He had no chance of getting in unless he just kept it at full throttle and rode around the wall. And that's what he did. He passed 11 cars, including Ryan Blaney. No, it wasn't Ryan Blaney.
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin, but he passed down. And Denny Hamlin's like, what do you mean I'm not in?
He had to finish like fourth or better or something, and he laid that he put it to the floor, ran it up against the wall, and let the wall drive him right on around everybody. Wow. And they actually and of course he gets out, and they asked him about it, and he said, I was like, because I was playing a video game, game. And he says it, and then after that, NASCAR banned that thing. If anybody does that again, that was it, dude. And I'm like, man, that guy just cramming that car right into the wall and
destroyed the car.
Destroyed the car.
Junk.
I mean,
they got spare bodies.
Yeah, well,
no, he destroyed the chassis. Just ripped the whole side of the chassis off. They threw that car away after that.
Yeah.
Well, you got to give him points for being inventive. I mean, that was...
He did. Hey, he did what he had to do to win, and get there.
The other big thing is that's the only track you could do that at. Because Martinsville, you're going so fast down the stretch, but you got to slow down so much for those flat, really sharp turns.
Yeah, it's like a paper clip,
right? Wall and just right around the wall, it's going to work. Anywhere else, the cars are too fast. You're not going to make it. As a matter of fact, Carl Edwards did that to Jimmy Johnson one year. I think it was in California Speedway, and it was the last lap, last turn, and Carl Edwards just, screw it. I'm just going to send it. I don't care what happens. He goes in. He gets 2 car lengths in front of Jimmy Johnson, but then he's carrying too much speed. He goes straight up into the wall.
Yeah, that's right, he did.
What's he doing?
Yeah, he tested out the catch fence on that one. That one was barrel roll. That was all rolling up in the fence and everything.
That was Talladega. That was a different
race. Yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, those are the good old days.
What's up, Justin?
How's it going?
There
guys?
he is.
There I am.
How's your New Year's?
It was good.
You see that video I sent you on building those headers?
I checked out a little bit of it.
I was just telling my buddy about that today, Brian. That was brilliant. I mean, you get the kit with all the different U-bends and all, and you can cut them up. Well, this was like a plastic, like a Lego kit.
Yeah.
You could build them with these plastic tubes, and it looked so much more universal.
We had that guy on the show.
I don't know if it was this. I remember that. I don't know if it was the same exact thing or not, but it was very, very, real interesting. It looked like even I could do it.
Super handy.
I thought that was funny how you take your blocks and you did it, and then they had the drawing because they had all the pipes, the U-shaped pipes, and you just colored in the ones that you used,
right?
And then that's what you cut, and then you had that bracket that was based, I guess that's you set, and then you had it colored in, and you knew where to cut. You cut them, and then I was like you said, Ray. When I watched it like 3 times, and I'm like, I'm building a header for the John Deere tractor. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I'm gonna go build a header for my garbage disposal now.
Yeah.
I'm putting my it was funny. My old John Deere that I had was the same thing. I did something with the exhaust, but I ran like the Green Acres pipe coming up straight.
Yeah.
I instead of how it came out the side and down on the riding lawnmower, but I bent it the other way and ran it straight up, And then I put one of the little flapper valves. So a ding, 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 popped around from the exhaust, on the exhaust. And it was kind of funny. But
I had
my
Come
new
Canada
John
did that
Deere's two-headed or 2 cylinders or whatever. So maybe I'll build my own header.
There you go. I thought about doing that to the my riding lawnmower.
How did everybody get on mute?
I don't know.
Ray, you're on mute.
Ray's on mute, but I know I'm not.
No, I muted me because I was just saying something that I was trying to be polite.
Uh-oh.
I didn't think I muted anybody else.
Oh, no. Well, I thought I must my little mousey thing was down on the thing ready to click it.
So I got one of my products from the store.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
It keeps stuff pretty hot and cold.
Oh, it's a cozy koozie cup. How many ounces is that, Luz? About, was that 8, 10, 12?
12.
48? Okay.
12.
48.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of the big ones because this is like a little kid's cup. Look at it in my hand.
I'll tell you something. Yeah, I'll tell you. I use the Callie's Cranks, the Yeti mug. That's my summertime afternoon iced coffee Kahlua treat mug, man. I use that thing every single day.
Yeah,
it's like, man.
It was funny. I think it was yesterday. I rolled up to Target, in the morning there, and there's a line at the door, and I'm like, because usually there's nobody there, and I'm like,
oh, I know what you're gonna say.
I'm like, dude, what the F's going on? Because I'm like, I gotta fight all these people for my Hot Wheels now? I mean, because there's a line out the door, and I'm looking, and there's a couple younger guys. I mean, there's a couple guys there, but I was like, well, I don't have to worry about her or her. And I'm like, this one's in a wheelchair, man, dude. I can pass this one. I'm like,
I can take him.
I can take this, So, of course, the door opens up, and they had a line. This line was like 15 people deep, and I'm come walking up, and I'm like, man, I know somebody's going to say something like get in line or whatever, And I'm like, what the F is all this? Well, they were all there for the exclusive Target Starbucks Stanley coffee cup. So I didn't have to worry about anybody when I went looking.
You know what? I was in Target yesterday because we had to make a return, and I heard someone asking for the Stanley something or other. And I was like, what? Well, they want full Stanley? Or they want to hit for the Kiss concert? What's going on?
Yeah.
What was it? Just a commemorative coffee mug?
It was something I didn't stick around. Then I started thinking, of course, for Christmas, they do a Christmas cup. And Brianna texts me and she goes, are you buying any Starbucks? Go in and get me a call. I want to make sure I get one of these red cups, And I went in and Terry, what's up? They had them there, but they weren't for sale yet. And I was like, well, how much is it going to cost me to get a couple of these cups? I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. You see them on speaking of that, so on eBay, these cups are like a couple $100 now,
right?
For these Stanley cups. Well, the best part, today I was listening, and now the hot lick is if you have a calendar from 1996, it's the same date-wise as today.
I have one, yeah.
So people are on eBay buying vintage calendars for big money so that they have these vintage because it's the same date time. So I should see if I have any old Snap-on ones with half-naked ladies on it. I could probably make a mint.
Yeah, the Snap-on ones I have are from the late 80s. They're not from 96. I have other ones from 96, though.
Yeah. But I thought that was funny about the same timeline or same calendar date.
Somebody's echoing. Is that you, Terry?
He's the last in.
Yep.
I didn't hear you.
I think you're sending an echo through.
You got a mouse in the house.
There's a mouse in the house. Hold on.
Now I
Yeah.
don't hear an echo.
Yeah.
No, now it went away.
Yeah, it's Coach Isaac sent us a picture of the Stanley coffee cups.
So did you see the video of a car that caught on fire, and her cup, her Yeti cup? I don't know if it was Yeti, but
Yes, it kept her
I saw that.
drink cold.
yeah, it kept her drink cold. So people
Yeah.
were running to the store, buying up all the that cup at Target.
And
That's
the
what
way I heard it was Yeti said that they're not going to do it for everybody, but they bought her a new car.
Yeah,
That's what I heard at least.
her car burnt all the way up,
Mhm.
and her cup still had ice in it, still cold.
Yeah.
What's up, gentlemen?
Terry, you've been
man.
a busy man, haven't you?
A little bit.
I see that a little bit. Your little bit is like monumental for most mortals, but you've been kicking it, brother. You really have. Give a
Thank
lot of
you.
credit. Oof.
Yeah, he's putting in work.
Nice stuff too. It's coming along very nice.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We got a lot of more coming. We got a lot of more coming.
And I saw you put a video up today about with the Chevelle with your driving lights.
The brown one, yeah.
We were supposed to talk about that, right? Because I wanted to put lights in my FJ. Remember this a while ago? We were talking about that.
Yeah, those are Weston 4-inch. I can't find them anymore.
Oh, really? Okay.
I can't find them anymore. I bought two sets when I was mocking the headlights up. I cracked one, so I went and bought another one. And from Summit. And I don't know if they sell them anymore. Maybe they ran low or whatever, but I cannot find another set.
Wow.
They had 4-inch lights, and they fit right in those buckets. I got like a 4-inch tube, and that's how I made the tube into the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
4-inch drill, put the tube through it, welded it around it, and then cut it flush. Like the contour of the bumper, which gave it like an oblong look.
Right.
And so that's how I did that. But
Is that at an angle? Like the front of the bumper?
yeah, the bumper kind of goes like this, and then it kind of goes in too. So, so basically what I did was I just cut a 4-inch hole, and it had to be a little bit oblong, and put that tube in there. And then I was able to cut that tube to make it flush with the bumper. And that's how I got that, where it's like this, but also kind of like this, or should I say like this, the shape of the bumper, where the hole in the inside of the bumper is a circle.
And what did you? So the light had a backing on it, right? So is that just like? Did you just did it have a place to bolt it or screw it to hold it in? Or
And it came with like a little backing thing where you can, like where you can tilt the light like this, this, or either like this or like this. And so I just, like I said, I just put it right there and I locked it down. I had to make like a little tab that sticks out, drill holes in it for the backing plate, or should I say the bracket that comes with the light, and that's it.
And then you just weld it up around where you cut the pipe. And did you get it re-chromed, or is that the one that's painted?
And that's the one I painted. If I was going to get it re-chromed, man, I would have hours upon hours of more, tigging,
Yeah.
just to get it perfect. And I was just like, well, I think this is going to be a bumper that we paint.
Yeah.
That's what made me make that decision. But it's funny because a lot of people ask me, would I do another one? I'm like, well, what I could do is I could, body fill that one and take that one off and have it make a mold. But it's a one-off. It's a one-off. I'm not doing that. That I mean, if there was enough demand for it, then maybe I possibly would. But then I would have to take it down and make it perfect. I would do another one and make it 100% perfect.
Make
it 100% perfect, where I would even get like some type of laser or something like that just to make sure that they're straight and true, because
Well,
Yeah,
I just
I
didn't
would
know if you
definitely-
put. I didn't know if you put a any type of like adjustment screw on it. I don't know where to my
What was looking a little more close to perfect in my eyes was your buddy's GTO, that Judge.
That's
Tell me
nice.
about that car.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's the one that I got the rear end from.
Okay.
It goes back to Nelson Rosado. That's a buddy of ours, and he wanted Nelson to hook his GTO up, so he got rid of that 12 bolt, which I'm going to be putting in my Le Mans. He sold it to me, and because I'm a 12 bolt guy, I like 12 bolts. And he got a Ford 9-inch back there, and they're going to do a Detroit Speed rear setup. They got QA1 coilovers all around. It's actually a 502 Ramjet.
Okay.
And the computer wasn't working too good. It was you remember how they came with that little computer that's was on the back of the back of the intake.
Yeah.
And Nelson somehow fabbed up. He made some rails and everything like that, and he got the Holly EFI to work on that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that thing that car cooks. Now
Nice.
I'm looking for a big block. I'm like, okay,
And he's got
solved the Rubik's Cube.
and we noticed, of course, the rear painted bumper on that car.
Yes, he got the rear painted bumper. He's contemplating on painting that car all over, but not orange. He wants to do like something that's totally different off the wall, and it'll look good. But he's sending most of his chrome out to get powder coated black.
Okay. All right. That's a look.
It's a nice car. He got the spoilers from Randy. I forget which one it was, but he was a guinea pig.
Right.
And so Nelson made it work. I'm not sure if it was from a Chevelle or whatever. I'm not sure which spoiler he got, but if you look, yeah, it probably is. If you look at that if you look at the video, you could see that there's a spoiler under that car. And,
okay, I didn't see that. Yeah, I missed that.
yeah, check it out. It's a tough car, man. It's really nice. I mean, I love a 70 GTO, but that's why I said, like everyone has their year.
Yeah.
69's always been mine, man.
I mean, it's definitely obviously lower. Well, 70, the nose changed a bit and the lights changed, but
the hood was still the same.
The hood, yeah, the hood is, yeah.
The hood was still the same.
The headlight treatment was different in 70. They coved the lights in a bit. They changed the lights, but yeah, I mean, minor changes, but
and they gave the car hips.
It's lower. It's definitely it's got the right look.
Yeah. So now I'm jonesing. I want to get to the shop and work on my 69. I'm like,
see, Brian, that's all it takes. You just do a little bit of work. You want to go? Everyone wants to work on more stuff.
Yeah, I'm inspired. I told him, I was like, yeah. When I saw it coming out there, I was like, hold on, let me get the Trailblazer in position.
Yeah.
You're chasing him down the street.
Yeah,
look good.
Hey guys,
See, I'm not a fan of that orange. I don't know. Was it 70 orange or was that another orange? I mean, 69 didn't come in that orange.
69.
No, 69 did come in that orange.
Orbit orange, yeah. That was a Judge color. Orbit orange, probably from 68.
Yeah.
So 70 didn't have that orange. I thought 70 was like a Velveeta cheese colored orange.
It was more of a yellowy orange, yeah. Correct.
Now, I don't know if you can get it in that orange, in 70, but I've always thought, like when I saw Judges, I always saw like the Velveeta cheese or the Kraft individually sliced cheese orange with the blue and pink on above the cheeks of the car, and I'm just like, ugh.
They did that to make it stand out, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought, there you go.
Yeah.
Craft singles.
There you go, Craft singles.
Little known fact about those cars, they made a ducktail rear spoiler that was molded into the deck lid and the quarter. That was you could have got it. Didn't really go over too big, but it existed. I think it looks pretty cool.
Oh, it's funny because Nelson, that car, he doesn't want the deck spoiler, pedestal spoiler.
The big one, yeah.
He wants the spoiler. They're gonna fab up the spoiler from 69 to make it go into
Yeah, right there. little duck
Oh, man,
spoiler.
that actually looks good.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
like that.
That's it. I was just trying to find a picture of it myself on my computer.
Yep.
We got our guy with that '94 Sierra talking about doing one of those spoilers on that truck.
It's,
That might look all right.
It's nice.
They have that on the. I think they had
See, I
something
like
very
that.
similar to the Lightning. On the Ford Lightning trucks, they have that same little tail on the bed of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
The Skylark had a spoiler like that, but they didn't, like you said, it was a rare spot. It was like a one-off Skylark that they did, a GSX back in '70, that had a similar spoiler like that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
do
have
like the Skylark spoiler. Skylark spoiler is nice.
the little
And Josh is in the house. What's up, Josh?
What's going on?
Look at it. It says Trans Am had the best duck.
Well,
The
yeah, the
duck
Trans Am and the Camaro shared the. That's the spoiler that my Camaro had, the big 3-piece one. I loved it. I really liked it. And some people are really nuts over the 70, the real short little 70 spoiler. It was that year only, but I like the bigger
on
one.
the 70.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a little small little. Yeah.
I like the bigger one. Give me that Trans Am spoiler, man.
Oh, give me the big one. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
The fire duck.
Fire duck.
No, I like the bigger spoiler. You know, that just says, you know,
Right.
Camaro, Trans Am. That
Right.
you know, that little small one. I had a buddy in high school. He had it had to have been like a 70 SS with a split bumper, and he had that little duck, that little yeah. I told him, "Why don't you get a real spoiler on the back of that thing?"
Yeah, do it right. Do it like on a 930, a well tail.
Oh,
geez.
There you go.
Well,
Have a whole, take out the back window, and you sit there and have a bar. You know,
Right,
sit
right,
around
right.
the back end of the table.
Right.
He schooled me. He says, "Terry, this is original." I said, "No, it's not. It's from J.C. Whitney. Get out of here with that."
J.C. Whitney.
Why are you not insulting with J.C. Whitney?
I'm gonna say that's something you got from J.C. Whitney. It cannot be. And I did some research, and I was like, "Holy crap, it is!"
Yeah.
I went to the Chevy dealership, and they go, "Yeah, that was a real spoiler." And I was like,
Yeah.
"This ugly thing." He says, "We still have them in stock." I was like, "No." Yeah, you can keep that.
There's a reason.
So here's
Exactly. Keep it.
That's
Keep it. I don't want it.
brought up a question. If there was, and Brian, I'm sure you'll have a list. If there was
Your screen faded out,
right.
disappearing.
Lewis's, yeah, that's because he's got the virtual.
You gotta
back.
take the YouTube down. Can't see it.
Can't see it. Dang it.
Yeah, well, you can't see your phone. Yeah. So if you could go back in time to when the dealership stocked all the crazy stuff that the racers and all used because they had to have it on the shelf somewhere, what options would you go back and buy? I mean, that's when you get the L88s, all the L88 stuff off the shelf, and like back with Pontiac, you get the tri-powers, out of the dealership, and like if you ordered a 65 GTO, say, brand new, and you got a 4-barrel car, but you want a tri-power, they put it on the invoice, you pay for it, they'd give it to you in the trunk, and then you'd put it on. And they had factory headers that they would have done. There was all sorts of stuff they did that with. So is there any factory parts that you guys would go back and want to buy?
And bring today?
Yeah, for today.
I'm easy.
Yeah.
The whale fin from the Superbird.
Oh, okay.
I would buy as many as I could from back then. I clear them out and come back and sell them.
Make picnic tables out of them.
Yeah. Jungle gym set.
Probably go after all the Ford, the 427 single overhead cam stuff.
There you go. Or
Those things are cool.
They're like even with Chevy, the Z28 had a cross ram carburation system. Brian, Ford had it, but so did Camaro. Very rare, very hard to find. And of course, Plymouth and Dodge always had the cross rams. I would go back, and what I want is the thing they used in NASCAR, and they sold it through the dealerships, where the air cleaner turned back and picked up the air through the firewall through the cowl.
Yeah.
So it was a factory piece, and really the hardest piece to get is like that. They have like a rubber transition gasket boot thing that would let it move, but that's what I would want.
Yeah.
You know, just an oddball thing.
I'm not even messing around. I'd go back to the Chevy dealership. I'd be like, give me all the Nomad tailgates.
There you go. I mean,
Every
that was just
Nomad
the production
tailgate
part.
that you can
That's
get.
it. You know what? Give me 302, 302. You know,
There you go. 302s. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
so
think
much stuff.
I think I'd get the Cougar tail lights.
Well, it looks like you already got the endorsement from Joe Namath to do a shaving commercial, Isaac. What's going on? Looks like you got the shaving cream endorsement there.
He had the
Yeah.
court date.
Oh yeah. You
No.
had to go up in front of the principal.
Yeah.
It had that court date going on. Yeah.
14.
New year, new me.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Well, yeah,
There you go.
I'm picking 421. Yeah, 421 stuff. I'm actually looking for a 421 oil filter housing to put on my 400, because instead of having the filter come straight down, it angles it back on like a 45, and it's easier to change the oil with the headers
Yeah.
to make a
Yeah.
mess. So I'm looking for one of those actually myself.
Yeah, there's so many little things that that you just didn't think about, or
You didn't know about it. Yeah.
you just or you just or there were so many of that stuff laying around that you would think that would never become scarce or become
The place, but Baldwin Motion, here in Long Island, they had a deal with the local Chevy dealer, and what you would do is you would go to the Chevy dealer and buy that. They call it the PS5. It was it was a Camaro, Corvette, Nova, Malibu, or Chevelle, or an Impala, and you buy the car, and you had to buy it with a big block. And at the time, it was a 396, so you get the 396, 375, whatever transmission you wanted, and the car, you didn't pick it up. It went right to Baldwin Motion, and then they did their phase 1, 2, or 3 kits to it based on that platform. And a lot of times, if you ordered like a phase 2 kit, you were getting the 427. So at Chevy, they pulled those 396, 375 solid lifter motors out and put them under the counter, and then they sold Motion the 427 that they did the magic to, and sold it to you. So that Chevy dealer had brand new Hypo big block engines, and I know a guy who him and his friends actually, because they're older than me, they were actually able to go down and they would sell those motors. Like, yeah, we'll sell it to you. It's a brand new 396, 375. We can't do anything else with it. So
What were they going for back then? I'm just curious.
I can find out. I don't know exactly, so I'm not going to make up a number. I don't know. Probably maybe $1,500 to make up a
I'm
number.
going for those engines, man. I'd be going for give me Super Bird quarter panels, a CUDA quarter panels, 69 Camaro quarter panels.
Yeah, like
the original
quarter panels. I mean, you figure, back in the '60s, the cars were selling for less than $4,000.
That's what I'm saying. I'd bring it back, man. I'd open up a store.
So what could the motor be? $1,500, $1,000?
Yeah. My mom back of course, this was many moons ago, but my mom used to sell Avon, and the guy that delivered the Avon to the house, one day, of course, usually I wasn't home, but I was home, and he saw my Mustang, and he's like, "Oh, you're a Ford guy." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man, I got a deal for you." And I'm like, of course, I'm just a 17-year-old kid, like I have any money,
Right.
But he came across, and it's the same thing you're talking about, Ray. Basically, he had 2 in the box 427 single overhead cam motors.
Wow.
2 of them in a box, and he said that he got them from the Ford dealership that was closing up, and they were sitting, and he bought them, and they're sitting in a crate, just sitting in a crate.
And he said, yeah, I don't understand it because the name of the dealership was like Curtis and Swan, but these have some other name on it. It's like Holman and Moody. I don't know what that is. I just want to get rid of them because I don't know who those guys are.
But he knew, and he sat, and it was funny. I ran into him. This was 30 years ago. I ran into him at a Ford swap meet, and he said he sold one of those motors for 20 grand.
Oh yeah.
And that was 20 years. I was like 15 years ago, 20 years. I was before I did Macco, so that was over 20 years ago when I ran into him.
Yeah.
And he sold one. He said he still had one more sitting. I was like, man.
If only.
That was crazy. I'd love to know. He never told me how much he paid for him.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he probably, like you said.
Oh, for truck.
Yeah. He probably, like I said, even when I worked at the dealership, they would go through and do their clean out inventory at the end of the year. And, one day the guy was like, oh yeah, we just cleaned out a whole bunch of stuff. It's in the dumpster. And I go out there and they're like, 356 distributors for Porsches, and I wish I had them now because those things are like 20 grand for a distributor, and you can't find this shit anywhere, and I grabbed them, sold them all for a couple $100, and God, I wish I stuck one underneath the bed under the mattress because that's,
right.
Selling that stuff is crazy. Then, like I said, back then that stuff was like a Volkswagen. Nobody wanted that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was like a Beetle. Nobody wanted that stuff. It's crazy.
Throwing it in the trash reminds me of the Air Force because we were getting ready for an inspection, big inspection, and people were cleaning things out of the squadron and that. And you'd go open the dumpster door, and oh my God, it was. Yeah. But I didn't get out to the flight line quick enough because they were throwing away complete socket kits.
Yeah.
Because there's those military sockets and ratchets again.
Yep.
The ones you can't warranty.
No, these had everything. It was what it was. If you're authorized only 2 sockets of a certain size, you better not have more of them. And all what you did during the year was go out and buy extra stuff so you could work on things without having to wait for somebody else.
Right.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
It's like those LSA blowers that everyone's going crazy over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those blowers. Like I got a whole bunch of them because my buddy he was getting ready to throw them out.
Right.
And so he calls me up one day. He was just like, "Hey, listen, Terry, you know what LSA, is?" I was like, "Absolutely, yes, I do.
I've heard about it."
He goes,
"Well,
don't get overly excited now. You got to play that poker face. Oh, yeah, those things are only worth a couple bucks, dude."
Right.
No, this is years ago. This is before the whole hype of them came up.
Yeah.
This is when you could still get them for like $200 on eBay. And he was just like, "Well, if you want, come pick them up because I got about 6 of them." And I was like, "I'm on my way." And he goes, "No, don't worry about it. Come by this weekend." And what's it called? They'll. I said, "No, I don't want to go to jail." He goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Because if I go down to that dealership and they're gone, I'm gonna have to kill you. So let me just come on down now, leave work, and I'll pick them up." And I did. And, like I said, I sat on them for a while. I didn't know the value of these things, because I went to a couple of other GM dealerships because they were yanking them off of ZL1s and Cadillacs because of that isolator. So they thought it was easier just to replace the whole unit with a solid isolator than it would be just to crack the snoot off and change the damn isolator.
Yeah.
So I got one more, and one guy said, "Yeah, we just got rid of like 16 of them. We just threw them in the dumpster."
Oh.
And I almost threw up. I got ill.
Well, that's the thing about
maybe he may not have came. Go in the back. So I went dumpster diving, and the guy was like, "If you're looking for the LSAs, they're gone." It's like, damn. You know,
Man.
so.
Well, it was cheaper for them to replace the
whole house.
than it was.
Yeah.
Which
and,
crazy because it's not hard to replace that isolator.
No, you don't even have to take it off the car. Just loosen the bolts and lift it up a little bit, and go in there with a pry bar and it comes right out.
That's the dealership mentality. Because when I bought my first Impala SS, the '95, in 1,000 miles, I saw smoke come out of the right side tailpipe. I put my finger in, it came out wet with oil. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So the car goes into service, and they do all sorts of diagnostics and send me on my way. They probably put some Marvel mystery oil in it. They sent me out again. Nope, I came back to them again. Bottom line was they did a short block exchange on the car, and they put a Corvette short block in it. And I asked the guy at the service, I said, listen, what are you going to do with that motor? He goes, well, we gotta hang on to it because they got the corporate house come down and see it to make sure that we actually have something we took out of a car. I said, well, I want it. I want it back. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, well, it's the motor that's out of my car that my title matched. And in 20 years or so, if somebody wants this car or they want to restore it, I said, I want the matching motor. I want to have that matching block. And he says, well, okay, it was kind of highly unusual. I said, well, it's mine, right? I
don't think it is at all.
Chevy paid for the for the replacement. He goes, well, yeah. He goes, well, you got to give me about 3 weeks, 4 weeks until everything gets, because they'll come like once a month for stuff, for rear ends and engines and trains. So I call them, and now they're stalling me. They stalled me a couple times, and I finally went down there with my friend in a van. I said, okay. I said, it's been like 3 months, and I know this motor would have been, taken care of by now. So he says, yeah, you know what? All right, it's in the back. It's in the shop if you really want it. I'm like, yeah, I do. I said, I'm ready. He goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I got a van and a friend. We're picking it up now. So we go around back. It was a slow day. It was a slow afternoon. There was only one, it was late. There was one guy left in the shop, and he says, yeah, what do you need? So I told him I was there for him. I'm here to pick up an LT1. And he was like, oh, now he didn't want to know nothing. He goes up front, he comes back. He goes, well, what are you going to do with that? He goes, that's really trash. That motor's bad. I'm like, I know. I said, but it's my bad motor, and I want it. Well, you can't do anything with it. He's really trying to talk me out of it. I said, listen, stop. I said, I'm here to take the motor, and I'm not leaving until I get it. Well, it was under his workbench, because guess who else wanted it? So we rolled it out from under his bench, loaded it in the van, took it home. And then I did find out I took it apart, and one piston, the wrist pin it was probably installed wrong because the wrist pin was out and it was contacting the cylinder wall. But, they did, that's condensed version. They did everything they could to have me not take that motor because this.
You're saying some kid was going to take it?
The mechanics had it under his bench. He wanted it. Because remember, the LT1s were pretty new at the time, and no one knew LS was knocking on the door. And it was a hot commodity, and I'm looking at it like, hey, that's the motor that VIN matches the VIN on my car. So now I got a service engine in my car. I want the piece that solves the puzzle. So needless to say, I traded the car in the next year in a 96, but I still have the motor. So
now you got to find the car.
I'll probably just get rid of the motor. I don't need it. I held it long enough. But
yeah, we had the same thing with I have 8 or 9 Audi transmissions, and that was the same way, all-wheel drive. Yeah, same thing. You pull them out because you did it under warranty, and then they would come and you're supposed to trash them. Right. And long story short, and of course, there was an issue, and they thought it was the transmissions, but it turned out to be something else. So there was nothing really wrong because I've sold. Over the years, guys need a valve body a valve body out of one or whatever, and I've taken it apart and sold and then scrapped the rest. But
Okay.
that was the same thing. You change it, and then they would have go in for a warranty, or and they just take it out to the dumpster and dump them. Back in the day, I had my 84. I had an 84 Mustang LX convertible, and it had that TRX suspension, and it had those Michelin 390. It was a metric tire. And the only other car that had that, it had the
3-spoke wheels, yeah.
The 3-spoke wheels.
Right.
And the only other car that had that tire was a BMW.
Oh, wow.
And back then they were like $300. They were Michelin's, the only people that made them, and they were metric, and it was like it was like 390 millimeter by whatever it was. Weird ass tire for the car. And but what the problem is, those cars would sit and they'd get a flat spot in them, so they'd come into the dealership, warranty them, and that was my endless supply of tires for my car.
Yeah, sure
Because I'd have to pay, and of course, you take them, you light them up, you make them round again, and drive them and put some heat in them, and it wasn't as bad.
But what kind of service manager was that was warranting flat spotted tires?
Huh?
What kind of service manager was that was warranty a flat spotted tire?
Well, that's unfortunately those people. That's why it got ridiculous with those people. It got ridiculous because you'd have a car that would sit all year, all winter, half the spring, and the guy wants to come out and have a dead battery, and he won under warranty. Well, and they put a battery in for warranty.
The other thing I'm thinking is that if the guy got out and drove the car and the tires were flat spotted, he thought they were bad. I mean, by the time he drove it to the dealership, they should have gone round again. No.
Sometimes they'd make a noise. This car makes a noise, and then the tire's the issue. So they would, and they're supposed to punch out the date code on the tire, but that never got done, and they ended up on my car.
It's funny you mention that because on the Impalas, the cars have 255 5017s on them. They're big tires, and on the one parkway by my house, they have the expansion grooves, and every time you hit it at like 60 miles an hour, it goes like plump, 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 plump. Sounds like a horse. They're really noisy over those expansion grooves, and they would flat spot too. But I would have to drive like within 2 miles. The first 2 miles would be like thump, 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 and then they would just clear right out. I was like, and those were Goodrich tires. I was like, man, there was no other tire at the time that had that size. They came out with the Pirelli, the P0, but so you got to wonder who specs out the tires on these cars sometimes.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to be heading off. I got an early morning tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
You keep up the great work, brother.
I will do.
Yeah,
I
man.
will do. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, since you're doing so much, and if you want to keep moving, come on down. I can put you to work. I'll feed you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Get you a little. We'll get that little blue oval blood in you, and maybe you can see the light, young man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you go to bed, and next thing you know, you wake up with that Mustang having an LS in it. You know
That's
that's
what I was just going to say. You're going to end up with an LS in your Mustang.
exactly. Car
it'll be
happier
one
than
way-
it ever been.
I
It'll
think
be a one-way ticket.
Hey,
New York.
Terry, don't be sticking that in the car, okay? Just
I'm
relax.
just saying, you made the offer.
Yeah, I sure did. I just wanted to. You was perfect because you were live, and you didn't know what to say. You were just shell shocked through that. That's why I don't butt in anymore when you're live. I want to make sure you can get your done.
You're repped in.
No. It would be an LS in that Mustang, yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's okay.
And I'd be like, yo, I'm sorry. I was pulling it out and I went to the bathroom. I came back. The car was gone. I don't know what happened.
No,
I'm gonna leave now. See you later.
All right, Terry.
All right,
Take
Brian.
care.
Terry.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.
man.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off too. I gotta be an adult in the morning.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, Lewis. Well, listen. Here's to another year number 9.
10.
10. See, I lost a year already. I'm going back in time. Year number 10. Right, I'm 8. Right, that's right. Right, 10. Right, I'm thinking of my years, not your years. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll looking forward to making more memories in the 360 something days to come.
Oh yeah, we got a lot coming. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody. Stay safe this week.
All right, Lewis.
You too.
Liz. Play nice in the
Take
snow.
care.
It's gonna be a
And I'm
bubble.
going to stay out of snow.
Did you guys get snow up there, Papa Squirrel?
Not where I am.
Right.
On the coast. Let's see. Wait a minute. I take that back. Last year we had about an inch of snow. It was funny. I wasn't even here. I was at a fair, and